Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, under my usual 20, but today is a very, very special day. Today, I'm doing a little one-on-one with Jim Caldwell, also known as Beating Obesity. But for the sake of our video today and future videos, it's Girlie and the Runner, because many of you have heard my theme of Girlie and the Cowboy, Girlie and the Mechanic. So Jim is a runner. And so I thought, well, that's just perfect, Girlie and the Runner. So welcome, Jim. As soon as you start to talk, it'll show your face.
Well, good morning, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to this, Girlie and the Runner. That's their clever little title. I'm honored to be speaking with you this morning, chatting with you.
Well, we have to be clever, right? We have to have some catch-all. So I brought with me my water, okay? But I brought you your favorite water too.
Oh, awesome.
So is there a way that I can get it to you right now so you can have this to enjoy?
Oh gosh, now that's mighty kind of you. I have that every day, one or both of those, and also Perrier, as you know. You probably see them. I think they show up behind me in my videos. You can see my cases of
Yes.
mineral water.
Speaking of clever, I told you of being very clever with your product placement. I thought that was very cute. Like how they casually put a Coke. Or I even saw something from Bulletproof Coffee. Oh, I know what it was. His brain octane on this big money type of role that this guy was playing, where he was just glugging Dave Asprey's brain octane, which is like $50 a bottle. But just so the audience knows, you can find Jim after this, and I will link it below too, his Beating Obesity YouTube channel. And we were introduced by way of both being people that commented on Mike's page, Keto Mad, also known as the Cowboy of Girlie and the Cowboy. And so I met him, and I think you've lost half of your weight, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, so over half.
So tell us a little bit about your journey to how did you find keto and then you moved on to carnivore? Is that how that worked?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, I'll tell a brief story here of this. It's now 2 years ago, August of 2016, when I started this latest journey, and having been morbidly obese and pounds, and had never had success getting the weight off by the traditional means that I thought were what everybody was supposed to do, like eating low fat, eating no fat, cutting calories, working out really hard. It just never worked for me. And I just gave up and used that as an excuse, let's say, just not care about myself, and my weight just ballooned, spiraled up over the years. I don't know what struck me 2 years ago, but I just started, step by step, inching along, and I made a little progress without really discovering anything, just calorie restriction. I started a low carb addiction and was losing some weight. And then, lo and behold, I decided to go on a fast, and a one-day fast. And that one-day fast was successful. And so I made it a 2-day fast, and that led to 3 days. And I ended up fasting for a total of 2 weeks. And when I say fast, I mean nothing but water and black coffee. And that fast is what changed everything for me, because while I was on that fast, I was reading books and I was studying, and I read a book called The Obesity Code by Dr. Fung. And that's really when I started thinking, and he gave me the idea that I had made this plan. When I'm done fasting, I had the plan to go to 1 meal a day, and I was going to eat only, let's say, natural whole foods that come directly from a plant or an animal, low carb, no sugar, no processed, nothing from a package, you know, vegetables, salads, protein, fresh fruit, that type of thing, no sugar. And I did that. I was able to do it. After coming off the fast, I was able to go immediately into OMAD and this fresh whole foods. And that just ignited weight loss like I've never seen. I mean, I just kept losing week after week, month after month. I was losing, you know, probably on average about 4 pounds a week for, I don't know, 8 months or 2 a year. And that was the key change. And I kept at, you know, once I saw this formula was working, the OMAD plus the, you know, the food change, the diet change, then I started really wanting to know why it was working. And I started researching, I started going on social media and looking for, you know, all the information I could, because I wanted to educate myself. Why didn't I know this before? Why isn't it taught? Why doesn't everybody speak about it? Why did I just give up on myself like I did all my life? And that led me to many other discoveries about the keto world. I was doing this pretty much on my own. I didn't know a lot about keto. I just came to know about that during the process. I was already doing keto, as it turned out, sort of. I was moving in that direction, let's say. So I started discovering the low carb world, and then I started some running and exercise after I'd lost about 100 pounds. I lost the first 100 pounds with no exercise, believe it or not. And then I started feeling good, and I started exercising, running, and the weight loss continued. I hit a few plateaus along the way, but I was able to break through them by just either making a dietary tweak or actually doing another little fast. I fasted a few more times during my, let's say, weight loss part of the journey. And so just the whole process, most of my weight loss came off in about 13 months. I ended up hitting about, my goal originally was to hit 180 pounds, which was my weight in high school. And I hit that about, it took me about 13 months to hit that. And right about that time, I had been seeing a lot of people online talking about this carnivore diet, and that intrigued me a lot. And I did a little experiment with that, a 30-day experiment, and I liked it, and it stuck with me. And I've been doing that and tweaking it, but I'm still basically carnivore now. I'm out of weight loss mode, let's say now. I'm more into just, you know, trying to, I'm still, I have little goals, but I'm trying to improve fitness and stay lean and to just perfect, be the best version of myself I can be. So I'm not, I guess I'm not, some people seem to look at weight loss like you do it for a while and then you go off of it, you change your focus and you go back to your regular life. I'm trying to make it so that my life is, my lifestyle, it is just what I do, and it's effortlessly something that I maintain. And that's kind of where I'm at now. The total, I've lost 190 pounds. I weigh about 160 pounds. So that's the mini story right there.
That's the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah.
One of the things that, for me, I was doing Weight Watchers, and after 17 months or 18 months, it was the original 17 pounds, and I couldn't lose any more. And so I segued into low carb, high fat, and I was reading, I don't know how I found it, but it was Dr. Davis's Wheat Belly. And I don't know how I tripped onto that. But that's what turned me away. And it was so funny because he talked about, of course, giving up the wheat, and it was kind of understood that the sugar was going to go along with it. And he, you know, like nowhere, maybe it does say it, but I couldn't find keto anywhere in that. And so I I gave up the wheat and I gave up, no, I gave up, yeah, the wheat and the sugar about 5 years ago in August. And then his Total Health came out, another book, and he said, wait, let me back up here. Not just wheat, but all grains. And it was like,
Oh,
okay. So in September of that year, I gave up all grains and the sugar. And I would listen to all these people, you know how the internet is flooded. All these
oh yeah.
people talk about keto under 20. And so I'd watch them and I'd watch them. It's like, well, that's good for them, but I'm not giving up my sweet potato or my baked potato. And then Dr. Davis either had a podcast or an article or something about this resistant starch. And
Yes.
have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So it's like the idea is you cook your potato and you put it in the fridge, and then you take out your potato and you heat it up. And like a lot of the starch, a lot of the carbs have been eaten up by that cooking and chilling and this and that. Well, no, eating a cooked, then chilled, then reheated baked potato was not going to be exciting. And so it just became, so I fell into the keto under 20. And from the start, I did total carbs.
I see.
And that's where my strict and disciplined is. And for the viewers, because you'll get a link to this that you can put in your YouTube channel. For the viewers, one of the things that attracted me to Jim is that he is as strict and disciplined and focused on his stuff as I am on my stuff. And yet we go about it different. And it's funny because both you and Mike Keto Mad go by your waist measurement. And I don't take my waist measurement. I still do the scale, but I do it once a week. But you do your waist measurement for your, like, where am I at? And and then you have other little indicators. And so it's so funny because we are both so much alike. And listening to you, I feel that there's this mirror image of what I'm focused on and what you're focused on, and they aren't the same two things.
No.
But yeah, we both put so much work into paying attention to the things.
Yeah, I would just like to echo that. Watching your videos, I have the exact same impression. We go about some things differently, and we're tracking things a little differently, but we are so much alike on the discipline and staying strict and not having a lot of, not going off the reservation and cheating and all that kind of nonsense. We have a plan and we execute it and we stay focused on it and take it seriously. And to be honest, I see that lacking on other people that I correspond with or I read about or I watch on YouTube or in social media. That's lacking, and you need that. That's fundamental to make it work.
And one of the things is, the way that I feel is you're either in or you're out.
Absolutely.
And when I see the people that don't do it the way that we do it, some have great success and some continue to remain the same, and just it's like a different version of keto. And your version and my version are just that. It's a lifestyle. We both came into it probably to lose weight, and then lo and behold, our health became paramount. And figuring out like all of these things about our health that I just didn't know about, didn't care about. I wouldn't have known what A1C was. I didn't know what a ketone was. I didn't know any of this stuff. Now, one of the things that made me really understand that emotionally you're so much like me about the food was your recent vacation in Boise, Idaho. And you heard the voices, and I hear voices, and that's my Ms. Slick. I call my food addict Ms. Slick,
Okay.
and that's just what she is. And she's very slippery, and she's very clever. And the analogy, the little setup that I give is I have a white Honda. I've never owned a white Honda, but I have one. And I am in the driver's seat. Sarah Pearls of Wisdom and Food is in the driver's seat. And Ms. Slick is in the passenger seat. And Sally, which was my nickname growing up, is this unrestrained 4-year-old child that, like, you get them in the car and it's like, I want this, I want that. Gimme, get me, bring me, buy me, drive there. I want this, can you? And so she's, just doing that thing in the back. And then Ms. Slick is over here and she has a map. It's almost like a map of franchises with a flashlight. It's like a non-GPS visual. And she wants me to go into all the bad neighborhoods. And she's got the map. And so I'm just trying to drive, contain this brat in the back seat. And so that's what I fight sometimes. Because if I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, that's when I become that 4-year-old back there that, oh my goodness, it's getting rather scary out here with the thunder.
I heard that.
So, that was when I heard you talk about the voices. And for me, I don't have cravings, but if you give me enough visuals,
yeah, I'm
going to start getting a craving. So I have to stay away from Pinterest. I have to fast forward through ads.
Yeah.
And, you were in a lot of those slippery places with your aunt, with your niece, and you were challenged by that. And that's when I really knew that, like, we fight the same internal stuff if given the right circumstances.
Exactly. This happened to me, and I have had during this process. There's the old Jim and the new Jim, and just the outward appearance change in me. If you go on my Twitter page or on my YouTube channel, in my initial videos, I've got a lot of before and after. I mean, it's sort of, people look at me different, and I feel different. I feel it gives you a mini, like, sort of an identity crisis, not a crisis, but you kind of wonder, like, well, who am I now? I feel the same, but I'm treated differently and I feel differently. But on this vacation, as you mentioned, I had been disciplined and doing things a certain way for many months now, and I just felt like the new Jim was totally in control. And lo and behold, this one event, I was sitting with my niece. I had already had my dinner, and I'm sitting down so that she can have her dinner, which is pizza. And I decided to have a slice of pizza also, of course, even though I'd already eaten. But while I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at a mirror, not a mirror, there's a window, and I can see my reflection in the window. And I'm eating this pizza, and it's tasting good, and I'm just having a great time. And I just said, oh, yeah, I need a Coke. Because to me, always pizza and Coke go together. That's the old Jim. I was a Coke addict and pizza, and before I knew it, I was thinking, oh yeah, where's the Coke? Oh yeah, I'm going to get a Coke. I was thinking about getting a Coke. Now, the new Jim never even thinks about Coke ever. And I just, I caught myself, and I was thinking, wait, am I going to have a Coke? No, I'm not going to have a Coke. And I'm just looking at myself in the mirror, and I had this moment where I was like, wait a minute, this is the old Jim? These are old, I call them cravings, but it's old pathways, old thought process, old urges that had surfaced. And I said, I kept thinking, that bothered me a little bit at the time. I thought, well, maybe I haven't conquered, maybe I'm not in total control like I thought, and maybe I'm in trouble, but that night I was thinking about it more, and I just realized the circumstances. It just, that probably what happens is that I am more or less like an addict, and that stuff is always in me. And that's why I need to stay disciplined and to have a routine and to not lose my focus and to stay sharp so that that stuff just stays in the background, that old Jim doesn't resurface. But it was just a moment of realization. It wasn't like I was radically tempted. I wasn't, at the Coke machine ready to get a Coke. It was just like a mental double take for a moment. That was the first time, that I saw that, oh, yeah, old Jim is still around. So I'm going to have to watch out for that guy because, I don't want him taking over.
Yeah, it's like the aha moment. And
yeah.
I entered into Overeaters Anonymous in the 70s when I was, I think I was in my mid 20s. And, so I entered into this whole food arena knowing full well that I had an addiction to food. So that part came easy. But as you were talking, one of the things that came to mind is that once you recognize you're an addict, in my case, once I recognized I was an addict, I realized that I can only manage my addiction. It's always going to be there. And so I have like the slippery places like the pizza parlors and things like that. And so I just, just the emotions that came out of you in talking about that and how quick. And what I loved probably the most was how you stopped and decided to fast the next day, just to straighten it out. Yeah. And that was, you said, that's one of the tools in my toolbox.
Yes. Yeah, I did that. I was, I allow myself, I don't want to be have such a restrictive mentality that it bugs me. Like, I don't want to say, Jim, you can never have pizza the rest of your life because it's going to trigger all kinds of negative things. I don't want to have a total ban on anything, let's say. It may be that I have pizza twice a year, a couple slices, but long as it's not off limits, it's okay. So I allowed myself on this vacation to have, just a little bit of an indulgence here or there. I had some bread, which I normally don't have, and a couple other things I normally don't have. And after I started the gym, I decided, you know what, I don't like where this is going. I'm too far off the path, and I know how to get right back on it. Tomorrow is nothing. I'm going to fast, and I'm just going to blow through the day, and I'm going to feel good and reassert myself. And I did, and that's exactly that was the right call because everything went good from then on.
Good for you. And so it's funny because the deal I made with myself was, after reading Wheat Belly and knowing I couldn't have wheat anymore, well, I could have gluten-free. And so Whole Foods has a gluten-free pizza. And so I would start buying that. And then when I came to keto, of course, along came the Fathead pizza. And clearly it's those two things that saved me and kept me continuing to do what I do. I have a Fathead. Well, actually, I have the incredible pizza that's from the Eat Rich, Live Long book by Ivor Cummins. And then I have the Fathead pizza crust. And it saves me. And I know that. And it allows me to continue doing the keto every day. So it's just kind of funny how pizza comes up in both of our stories. I know that Coke comes up in Keto Mad's story. And
yes.
He kept Coca-Cola in the fridge for like a full year after he stopped drinking it. And I said, that's funny because that's like the alcoholic where I can have a 6-pack in the fridge and I'm not even tempted anymore. And it's like, it is just so interesting how personal this all is. And next week I'm doing a video with the cowboy, Keto Mad, again. Mm-hmm. And we gave each other homework assignments of somebody's video that, I chose his to watch and he chose one for me. And we have to do a review on it. And the one that he gave me, it's like I said to him, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I said, I don't know. I said, you're as much the teacher as was this video, because I wouldn't have been led to watch this video if you weren't the teacher leading me to it. And so, that's one of the things. I hope we can do more videos together, kind of like the cowboy and I do, just in where we are at now, for both our listeners. And then you get to do it the next time. But the thing that's so important is the keto community and identifying. And so I identified so much, especially with your vacation one, because out of that came all of your insights into there you are out in this normal world of Boise, Idaho. And, you're not in that structure of like not only your own foods, but your own home where, like I'm the same way. I would be hyperventilating if I went away at this point because I want my things. Things. And I just get so used to that. It was apparent for you too.
And that was the key. That was the key. I was away from everything, my normal routine. I was out in another place and everything was different. So I had none of my, none of my normal things that are my anchors. And so I was totally free. And, it's just part of the experience. Say, I have a question for you if I can ask.
Yeah.
You mentioned back in the beginning the part of your journey where you gave up sugar. How hard was that for you?
Well, seeing I was a sugar addict as a young child, eating batters of Toll House cookies and batters of cake batter, the bowl. I never had to turn on the oven. Totally addicted to sugar all the time. But when it came to giving up sugar, I guess I was just ready. I guess I was just ready 5 years ago. And my addiction at that point was more starchy things, even though my final binges were all about cakes. And I would buy these cakes at this local grocery store, and I'd buy 2 a week. So alcoholic. It's like buying 2 bottles. Yeah. It's like, this is going to last me the whole week. And so each week I would polish off the 2 cakes because Greg he loves his sugar items, but we aren't on the same page. I was a cake frosting, and the more layers the cake had, the more I'd love it. And I'd take 40 minutes to eat. I think it was called a tuxedo cake. I don't know if you've seen them, but they have all these different layers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't see it too fast if it was in front of me.
No. The reason I ask is giving up sugar for me, I think, was fundamental for me to be successful. But it came as a result of that fast. I mentioned that 2-week fast. I don't think if I would have done that, I could have got out of my Coke habit. But after that, I was able to. That fast, that was sort of like a total reset. It put me, it was, so, let's say, extreme that I was never the same after that fast. I just wondered, for somebody maybe trying to slowly wind down on sugar, I think it's hard. And anyway, I'm just curious because for me, the sugar was key. Giving up sugar was key. One thing you and I are both real similar on, in general, is the low carb. I mean, you're under 20 every day. I took the time one day to calculate. I think I'm in around 10 or 15, even with at maximum. Even on a carnivore diet, I do have a couple things that have some carbs in it, but that's also fundamental, and I'm strict on that. Carbs, I just avoid them. I see a lot of people, just to go back to something earlier you said also, you got to be in or out. I see a lot of people that are trying to have it both ways. They want to be a little in and a little out. They want to be in for, let's say, the weekdays, and then they're going to jump out on the weekend and have a little carb up and do this and that. To me, that doesn't work. You got to be in or out, and just especially in the beginning, until you relearn how to eat and relearn your habits and your way of life. I think I see a lot of people struggle with that, and maybe you do too. You're trying people going both ways. Have a few good meals or a few good days, and then this isn't too bad. I mean, it's just that's where the discipline comes in that I think we both share.
Yes, I agree. And when I gave up smoking and I gave up drinking and I gave up sugar and I gave up wheat, it was cold turkey. And I'm a firm believer in cold turkey for me. It works for me.
Yeah.
I never weaned from cigarettes. I never weaned from alcohol. I never took it easy. I'm just going to take it easy. I never reduced the 2 cakes down to 1. I just didn't do it. It was I guess I'm lucky. And I consider, in a spiritual sense that it really is like a higher power really lifting that addiction. And so it's kind of like, here's your gift. You never have to have your sugar again. But I lifted it. It's going to be your will and you're thinking you're in control if you take it back. And if you take it back, you're going to worsen it and worsen it. And, my field was always, well, not was always, but for the last 10 or 12 years, I was a counselor for drug and alcohol abuse, as well as a case manager, and at a woman's shelter, a woman and children's shelter for substance abuse. And I got to see the horrors of it. And of course, they traded. I mean, they're very young. They're very, whatever. And so they immediately traded the drug and alcohol addiction for food and sugar. And I would watch 23-year-old women take a 3rd measuring cup, because they had like an old coffee plastic thing like Folgers, and that was their sugar jar. And so they take the 1/3 measuring cup and have 1/3 of a cup of sugar in a regular cup of coffee. Not even
Oh yeah.
And then Coffee Mate on top of that. And I was addicted to Coffee Mate, but and so I think oftentimes that my higher power, like now working in the jail, and most of the people behind bars have drug and alcohol issues.
Yeah.
And so I think that working in the environment with my addictions so raw and so active that it's called keeping it green to me. I keep it very, very green. And I see that and I say, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to put on 40 pounds, because I'm 1 bite away from 40 pounds. Yeah. And they say in AA that 1 drink is too many and 1,000 are never enough. And that's how it would be with me, with sugar. Once I open the door, I know I am a bite away from a binge. And so hence, I know you don't track, but that's why my chronometer is like that. And I weigh and measure, and it's my sanity and it's my safety. And I just need that all the time. And it's the flannel sheets, it's the safety.
No, here's where we're identical. I'm not going back either. And no, I don't track, and I don't use the chronometer and that, but I track my weight every day. I mean, to me, you gotta track something. Okay. I track my weight, and I'm not going back. And so I stay focused like a laser on everything I'm consuming, and I stay real disciplined. And historically, I've never really been that keen to apply the term addiction to food. I always thought that was sort of an exaggeration. Maybe people, just looking an excuse. I didn't see it as a real addiction like heroin or some kind of drug or smoking. But I've evolved on that based on my own experience, and I do think it's an addiction. Sugar has an addicting aspect, and and the overeating has an aspect. And after my recent experience, I told you where, there was something that old self was trying to push me to eat more, to go back to old habits. That's like an existing addiction probably that I have. So, that's why I stay focused on it, because I'm not going back. And I think one thing that sort of bothers me is people that see me. I mean, I talk about my story almost everywhere I go. Everybody, wants to talk, and I'm influencing a lot of people. That's very positive all around me, whether it's in my office or people I come in contact with, or they're motivated. They end up, even if they don't tell me, I find out later that they were inspired to do something, and that's a great feeling. But what I wanted to say is, people will say, "You're not still trying to lose weight, are you?" Because I talk about what I'm doing now and how strict I am, and they're like so surprised. Well, why? Why do you have to do that? You're thin, and they just don't get it. I'm thin, but I'm going to stay thin, and I'm not going back. And so I've got to. It doesn't end. That's sometimes a little frustrating. People seem a little taken aback that I'm still focused on my health and what I eat. Everybody's thinking it's just a thing you do. You take off for the weight, and then you go on about your business, and like it was. But I'm never going back to those old days. I was miserable. I was unhappy. I was not able to do a lot of things like my recent vacation, travel. I didn't want to be seen. There's a lot of, I didn't want to travel because it's uncomfortable physically, and it's just, life is so much more enjoyable now. I'm able to do things. I'm able to help people. I'm able to enjoy life, and I'm sure I've extended my life. So I'm happy about that, and I'm not going back. And if it means I have to, stay focused on what I eat, I'm fine with that, because I enjoy it.
Right. And that's why I like the community, because I know that I can connect with you and immediately have somebody that understands what I'm saying, because me in the normal world, with the food and it's just, they don't get it. And that's why I love that term that you use, pathways, because it's like it's still inside. It's like the old ancient pathways are still there, and right next to them are the highways, the super highway of other things, today's life, what you do today for yourself. But that pathway, man, your car takes a little, right into the ancient pathway, and there you are, like you were in the pizza store, and there you are when you're at the movie theater, almost at the movie theater. That's why I call the people that listen to my channel pickles. And I stole it from AA, because when you're a cucumber, you're a cucumber. But once you're a pickle, once you sit in that brine, or in that vat of maple syrup, or Torani syrup, or any of those, once you become a pickle, you can't ever go back to being a cucumber. And so the whole thing about being a pickle is, not only are you different, but you have to think different. You have to feed yourself different. It's all different. And so once you're a pickle, it's like game over. And when you're working on the positivity of that, it's like, thank you for the gift. Thank you for the gift of bringing me here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I stay here. Well, I do know how I stay here, but thank you for the gift of show or of keto, because it's changed absolutely everything. And yes, it's tough. It's so funny being around people, because people that I know will do anything but what I've done.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Weight Watchers. Why? You're going to lose 13 pounds and stop. You're going to spend, $200. You're going to get frustrated there, and you're going to veer off the charts, or what are some of the, those drinks, not drinks, but it's like the there's like this one program, and I guess it costs $2,000 to join,
Oh,
and they'll get the weight off of you, but try eating normal, you know?
yeah,
And so it's just interesting that nobody says, Sarah, will you please be my food coach? Even though that's what I
yeah,
do as a business now, you know, it just,
yes.
it always cracks me up. I'll do
That's
anything to
that's
lose the
funny.
weight and be on maintenance, but I'm not
I've
going to do
had
it your way.
I've had that same experience. I've been talking to people, some people for a long time now. They know everything I've done, and they're also on their own journey trying to do things, but they don't do anything that I've done. You know, and
Yeah.
hey, and I'm not pushy. I don't push up my program, or I don't go up to people and say, hey, this is what you got to do. I'm not like that at all. But it just naturally comes up in conversations wherever I go now, because people see how I'm eating, or they know about my story, or they ask some questions. People want to hear about it and want me to talk about it. And it was just interesting yesterday. I'll just tell this quickly. I had a salesman that I traveled with him about a month ago, and we had a chance to dine out with some customers, and my story naturally came up. They saw how I'm eating. I was eating all carnivore, and people were like, wow, you eat a lot. And then the salesman, he had just started. He was doing some keto. He said, hey, I'm working on keto and I've lost 15 pounds. I said, oh, great, that's good. So I just saw him again yesterday. Again, this is after about a month. And he says, hey, Jim, take a look. I've lost another 18 pounds. And I said, awesome. That is great. He said, yeah, I thought more about what you're saying. I'm leaning more towards meat now. And I said, man, it's just fantastic. It's just things like that just kind of are so uplifting to me. And he said, you know what, Jim? You remember, the customer that was with us, I forget his name. He said, he and I talked later, and he said, I'm interested in what Jim is doing. I'm gonna try that myself. And lo and behold, I've never talked to this guy. He just saw me eating and heard me say a few words at dinner. And this guy apparently has lost 10 or 15 pounds on his journey, just affected by seeing somebody that is, my transformation. It's hard to miss. I mean,
It's hard to miss.
when I show my before after picture, I mean, it literally floors people. Some people don't believe it; they think it's photoshopped or whatever. So I'm like a walking billboard that says, "Yeah, folks, you can change yourself. Just apply yourself. You can change, even if you're like me, a seasoned citizen, pretty much. You can change. So." And people are interested in that because a lot of people, they try and fail just like I did for many years, and they see, wow, that guy can do it. Why can't I do it? So that's the rewarding part of this for me, is that people are inspired a little bit, not to do, let's say, exactly what I did. I've yet to see anybody doing exactly what I did, but just to move, in that direction, to start looking at carbs, to start the whole process. I preach mainly about carbs and the seed oils and sugar, because I think that's probably the biggest fundamental step people can take, is just to get out of that processed food arena, and to take care of your health. If you just do those few things, you've done a lot.
It's totally true. As a keto food coach, one of the things that I could focus on with the whole 30 days of emailing, one of the packages that I offer, is just label reading. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And when people, when I watch videos and they're pouring on the bottled dressing that's soybean or canola, and then this much of ingredients that you
Oh, yeah.
can't even pronounce, I just, so it's funny, the starting point, and how wonderful that you could connect with these two people. I haven't had those moments, but I
No.
know that if I did, I'd be just hugging them. It's like, wow, I found somebody that speaks English on this remote island after a shipwreck or
Well,
something.
well, you have these moments in your coaching, right? I mean, you on your online
Yes,
coaching. I mean,
yes,
uh, so I mean, that's got to be satisfying too. You must hear that, oh, you know, hey, this helps, and thank you. And on your channel, I've seen many people talking about inspiration and thanks. You know, you're inspiring many people, so you do hear it. Maybe not face to face, but
Right. I couldn't do it without the online community. You know, they have no idea how supportive it
yeah,
is, and Mike and I are going to talk about this at some point. Being a video producer, maybe we could have a three-way with that. That would be fun.
mm,
Video producer, answering the comments and really getting, you know, making the effort to be involved with the people that take the time to do the comments. How
yeah,
important that is, both ways, but also part of my, you know, being genuine is answering them. You know, there's nothing, I'll be on somebody else's channel and somebody will have written a comment like this about, you know, a lot of their stuff, right?
yeah.
And they get a heart.
And right, I know.
And it's like, well, thanks for
I
acknowledging me.
and I try to engage my commenters, and Mike has mentioned this at KetoMad. He's mentioned how great his commenters are, and how great this community is, and I have to echo that. I believe 100%. I have the same feeling. I've got some great, inspiring people that comment and give me great quality comments, and I engage with them. And so far, it's not so overwhelming that I don't have time to, because I'm interested in this. I'm interested in other people's journeys, or if I can answer questions, or I learn every video I put up. I end up learning something from the comments, or have something else on my list to check out, because I've got a great group of subscribers. I'm sure you do too. That and in fact, I was going to ask you this question: like, what, being a video producer, what is the most satisfying part? Is it the accountability, that it holds you accountable? I know I've heard you say that before, and I feel the same way. It's a public accountability, or just the community, you know, aspect. You know, the, let's say, interaction with commenters, and actually influencing other people. I mean, I guess it's probably both.
It's the whole package. Yeah,
The
definitely.
whole package, yeah.
Yeah. Being accountable is for me, for my journey. So that's, you know, incredibly personal with that part. And unless you have a YouTube channel, you don't know what that accountability feels like. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't go to a, you know, a state fair and, you know, stop at every single food vendor and come back and report it and then just go, ha, ha, ha. You know, I have two walls that I have to face, you know, my wall of like doing it to myself, and then the next wall of like the true confessions. And so it really, it's a safety measure that unless you have your own channel, you wouldn't understand. But then the answering of things and the people that suggest things. And when I got back my cholesterol, my total cholesterol is 460, and I have a mainstream doctor, you know, so it's like, I'm going to call in your script for you, or scripts.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, I think one of the two keto dudes actually read my, well, so I had that, but the ratio was great. And then I asked for an NMR, which is what they say to do next if you know, have things that are wonky. So I asked for the NMR through my, you know, regular doctor, and she couldn't read it because she'd never even heard of the test.
Yeah.
And so I went to the forum at two keto dudes, and either Richard or Carl took my NMR reading and translated it, because I couldn't, and my doctor never heard of it, so I knew that she couldn't. And so, like, where would I have gotten, you know, to calm down, you know, and so the whole cholesterol thing people would talk about, and you know, like how frightening it is. And of course, you know, you see the whites of their eyes, and the doctor's like, you know, ready to put you in the hospital. if you can't learn how to eat, girly. And so without the keto community, I would have like maybe listened and taken a statin or done something, you know, and the rest of the, it's like, if you go to a new doctor and he's talking about your cholesterol, find another doctor, because it's such old information.
Yes.
But yet I was like, you know, so without the keto community, I couldn't do it. I've learned so much. I found out some people. And then with Mike doing his interviews, I've learned, you know, I've met so many wonderful people that, you know, and it's inspired me to do some interviews. And so I've done one with you and Keto the Mechanic, and then Mike, and hoping to do more. But so the next time we do this, and I hope you're up for this, like,
sure,
you know, just updates and stuff. So one of the things that like was quite endearing about your videos is you must love football, because you have so many references towards the game. And when you have your like pre-game pound of ground beef, you know, and it's like before you have your Paul Bunyan 2-pound rib, but it's that pre-game thing. And I was just like laughing. And then you did another thing, which I wouldn't have gotten because I'm a football fan, but not to the degree that you are. And you made a reference about, I was the quarterback and I gave out a call and the defensive team could hear it and I didn't care. And
yeah, well, you know, I'm not really a fan anymore. I mean, I played football in high school and I come from that background, but I'm not really into football anymore. But, you know, I'm a guy, so those metaphors are etched in my mind. So calling an audible, that's exactly what I did with that fast. So, I mean, I figured everybody understands that, you know, calling an audible and the Paul Bunyan and all that stuff. It's funny that you should mention that, because it didn't dawn on me at the time that I was dropping a lot of football references.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. Just me as a, you know, kind of illiterate when it comes to football, noticing that. But so you'll have to do some thinking about that and see where in your conversation that might pop up, and just go, oh yeah, I just did it again. Yeah, she said I did that. Just interesting. Well, we're almost at an hour now.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to drink your bottle because
you know,
I'm packed.
I'm thinking I should contact those people. Maybe they want me as a spokesman, because I just came to like that stuff. And I buy 2 cases at a time of that one, that, what is it, Gerolsteiner? I'm not sure how do you pronounce it.
Me either.
So have you tried that yet?
I've had one bottle, and
one bottle?
As you can see, I'm going to have a second, and I love it. I love the San Pellegrino, and so I was reading a review on sparkling water, and it's like, oh no, don't tell me that there's, you know, cancer in it or something. But it said, if you're going to have sparkling water, make sure it's a sparkling mineral water. And so I gave up Poland Springs and any of the light. Yeah. And now it's San Pellegrino. I don't like Perrier. Isn't that interesting? I don't like Perrier.
I do. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love this and the one that I had. So I'm going to, you know, it's never on sale, whereas San Pellegrino.
No.
No.
No, it's a little pricey, but yeah, it's worth it. And I do believe in I like the mineral water. It's just something very quenching about that. After a run, you know, just guzzle half a bottle. It's really nice.
Yeah, for me too. After a guilty pleasure video with my YouTube, nothing like quenching my thirst. All right, so what I'm going to do now is close out and stop the taping, but it will still be you and me. Okay. So we're going off air now. Okay. So this has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto Under 20, and Jim from Beating Obesity, his YouTube channel. And we will see you the next time as Girlie and the Runner. Thank you so much for watching.